A Widow's Dilemma in Cuba. The Misadventures of Janie and Diane series. By L.J. Green. Chapter 1. Introduction, Train Ride to Florida. They survived their encounter with an assassin. Now it was time to take a vacation. Janie and Diane were sitting in the dining parlor of a great steam locomotive, drinking tea, while reading their material of choice. Diane was reading the latest Sherlock Holmes novel by Arthur Conan Doyle, and Janie was reading the newspaper from Washington that was in the dining car when they arrived. Diane smiled to herself when she read the headline, "President Roosevelt Barely Escapes Attempt on Life," with the credit for the save being given to his Secret Service team. Huffing at the true inaccuracies that are often printed in the news these days, Janie thumped the paper down on the chair next to her. Looking up from her book, Diane cocked her brow at her niece. "Trouble, dear?" "No," rumbled Janie, "just the usual pish-posh about men always coming to the rescue." "Well, dear," she began, clearing her throat when she noticed the look on her niece's face, and instead took another sip of her tea. "Yes, I know the president really could not acknowledge that we were the actual rescuers who foiled the culprits." Taking a sip of her own tepid tea, she quirked up her lips and looked at it askew. Janie looked around for the porter. She lifted her hand and pointed to her teapot on the table. The ever-so-attentive porter acknowledged her request with a nod, and came over to change out her empty pot for a freshly brewed one he had just finished preparing. After he left, Janie continued, "I do know all that, it just gets my goat." Heaving a heavy sigh as she poured a new cup of tea for herself and added some to her aunt's cup as well. Looking over at her niece, Diane noticed that she was slumping in her posture, so she looked smaller than her normal 5'8" frame, and she had lost more weight than she could ill afford. Her lovely high cheeks were a little shallow, and her dark brown eyes looked even darker, with the smudges underneath them that her makeup did not seem to be able to hide. Her light brown hair was hidden underneath her black suede hat that sat at a rakish angle on her head, as she had been shaking it rather strongly at the paragraphs she had been reading in the paper. The past assignment had almost killed them both. She was glad they were getting away for a while to someplace warm with soft ocean breezes and lovely fruit drinks. Her own well-rounded frame was looking a little shrunken as well. Her hazel eyes were a darker shade of green today, as she was wearing a lovely dark brown and emerald green dress. Her hair was styled nicely and hidden under her dark green felt hat. She had been keeping it short of late, and the hats she adored helped her to have different looks with each new outfit. Looking over at her niece,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?